and welcome back to Questions with Connie. I wanted to talk to you guys today about a new movie that I watched called Late Night with the Devil. And if you haven't heard of it, it is a 1970s themed or vibed movie with a late night show host who basically has a possessed girl and her handler psychologist come on to the show, and kind of it's like they set it up as a last ditch effort for him to keep his show alive. So I had aspects I loved, but also aspects I didn't like about it, and also had a lot of thoughts about the ending. So if you want to know what I thought about it, stay tuned. So to start off with, like I mentioned in other videos, as far as the movie reviews I do, I have a specific ratio that I judge a movie on, and that is the scary to story ratio. So to me, most of the time a movie either has too slow a storyline and doesn't get to the point quick enough, or it has too much scary and not enough story where you just don't feel invested. But honestly, sometimes those you can get away with it, because if you're watching the movie for the point of being scared, then I mean, win-win, right? So this movie is really good to start off with. It kind of sucks you in. It starts out with a backstory about the guy and what happened with his show, and backstory about his life, and kind of how he ended up in this situation to begin with, and why he's kind of starved for ratings. I think that they could have done that in a lot shorter of a period than they did. So already the movie kind of starts dragging a bit, which again, if the payoff is good, then I'm okay with that, as long as, like I said, the end, their second half of the movie builds up enough to balance out that first half. The first half goes into, like I said, all his backstory and all of his life story and everything. After that part, it then starts to go into like his guests and who they are, what they're going to do on his show. And honestly, for those, same thing. I feel like a lot less could have been done to show why they're there and what's going on with them. So anyway, they do that, and these people come on the show and they do their thing. But all throughout it, there's this hint of something lurking in the background, something that's kind of just off camera. You don't know what it is or why it's there or what's happening, but you know that something bad is gonna happen, right? And so I like when they do that, because it's like this creepy feeling, kind of like when you go in somewhere that you know you're not supposed to be, but slowly but surely you realize, you know, there's something wrong. Those types of movies. So it does have that vibe, but my problem with it is that, in my opinion, the payoff just doesn't balance out the long story buildup. So the girl comes on and she does a great job as far as her acting skills. So does the main actor. The main actor, I think, is actually pretty underrated in a lot of the roles he's done, and I will put some of those here in the video. But he's done quite a few roles that I just thought, wow, this guy is really great at playing creepy. I mean, he just does it so well. When I see those types of actors and they can do that, where I tell my husband, man, if I personally knew them, I'd be a little scared of them. That to me says they did a great job, which, you know, you can feel how you want to feel about that, whether you think they might be a little psycho on the outside world. I understand. But this guy, he does really great at playing creepy and weird and all of that stuff. He plays a lot of roles that I think are underrated for that reason. He is this late night actor, and it's very obvious that he has done a lot of research on that time period and the late night show hosts and their whole vibe, because he is spot on when it comes to that part of it. But the girl comes on and they have this whole slow build to her coming on the show, right? And her being this possessed person, and they, you know, kind of drop all these hints that it's really creepy and occult and all of those things. But then the actual quote unquote possession part of it happens, and you just kind of go, while watching it. And that's not a good thing, like that's not really how it should be when you've been building up. And at that point, I kind of looked at my watch, because right before that time period, I was like, man, how far into the movie are we? Because me and my husband decided to watch this one at home because we saw it was streaming, which, again, you guys know how much I love to watch my movies at home versus the theater, for all slew of reasons. But we watched this at home. We were excited that we were going to get to do that because, again, we can control the volume, control our snacks, control going to our own bathroom and the temperature, all that good stuff. So we were excited about that portion of it, but I paused the movie at a little bit over an hour because I was wondering how long we had been watching already, and really nothing had happened yet. I don't like that. I want there to be some action and some things going on in the movie relatively quickly. Kind of the same way I feel about my YouTube videos and all of those things when I'm watching content. I kind of want you to get to the point, at least a little bit, before, you bore me too much. So for this one, it just kind of dragged and dragged and dragged. And then when the happening happens, you're just, you're like, is that it? Is this all that's happening? Or did I miss something? I don't understand. Not only that, but there are some parts or aspects of the storyline that they drop in there, but they never really fully develop. Part of it is they mentioned the Bohemian Grove, which if you have not looked into that or Googled what that is, prepare to be creeped out. So I don't like Googling that. Ever since I found out about it in another content creator's videos, I wish that I hadn't, because it's one of those things. I don't like any kind of secret society, a bunch of really overly powerful, wealthy people congregating in robes and doing all kinds of weird chants. I'm sorry, but it's just not my vibe. I don't appreciate that. Although I am into Halloween and all things, horror, it's the fake stuff, for me. I don't want to go traipsing off into the woods in the middle of the night and be one of those people in the scary movies. I want to watch them and talk about how crazy and dumb they are. So that's just me. But anyway, so they mentioned this Bohemian Grove thing. And again, if you want to creep yourself out, and if you're watching this at night, don't go looking for it at night. Just don't. But be my guest if you want to, but I'm just saying, be warned. It's some creepy stuff, and they do touch on it in this movie, so I did appreciate that, and that immediately made my antenna go up, because I thought, ooh, are they going to really talk about it and, go into any of that? Because that's interesting. I've never seen them talk about that in a movie, and for obvious reasons, because it's linked to a lot of high-profile people, which is even more worrisome. But anyway, so they do mention it, but again, it doesn't really add enough to the movie to even have served a purpose for being added in at all. So I didn't appreciate that they added it, but then didn't actually do anything with it. Not to the extent that I would have liked them to. So there's that, and then the ending. So the climax, or the ending, or the way that this movie just kind of, sums everything up, I just really sat there for a good 10 minutes like, is that really how they ended the movie? What was that? So I didn't care for it. I didn't like it. I personally, when it comes to horror movies, I love when they do more with less. So the less CGI, the less special effects, the better. And honestly, when they leave more things to my imagination, I just think that that's so much more interesting, because there are worse things that I imagine or make up that is in that gray area or that dark place that they put on the screen than they could really ever do with showing me something. If how I feel about it, the ending, the ending and the just slow storyline that didn't go anywhere for me, for me, it was a definite 5 out of 10 at best. And the only reason I gave it that high a rating is because of the acting and the set design. I can truly appreciate when they do a different time period and just how difficult that is, from nailing the hairstyles to the clothing they have to get, either acquire or create specifically to represent that time period, to the set pieces and the furniture, all of that. I appreciate just how much work and effort goes into that. So for that reason, I did give it a 5. And because the main actor, I think his acting skills were really good in it, it's just, there was just so much wrong that I can't feel good about putting it closer to a higher number than a lower number. So for me, it being right in the middle just feels right, if that makes sense. You know, opinions about movies and opinions in general are relative to the person, and my own experiences and my own feelings and likes and all of that. If you watch this movie, I really, really want to know what you thought about it. I want to know how you felt about the ending. I want to know an hour in how you feel about the lead up to the storyline, because this movie has a high rating on IMDb of, I think it was a 7.3 when I pulled it up when I was going to watch the movie, which, like I mentioned in one of my other videos, a horror movie in general typically at best gets, somewhere between a 5 and a 6, even when it is an exceptional movie, in my opinion. Some of the best movies that I love have terrible ratings, but they're still favorites of mine. So I take that with a grain of salt. So with this one having such a high rating, I was like, well, that's interesting. I wonder why it got rated so highly. And looking at the reviews, it definitely was back and forth as far as whether people loved it or hated it. Some people really liked it. Some people really, really didn't like it. So I just thought, I wonder where I'm going to fall in that category. So for me, it was definitely a fail on the, rewatch or buy this movie. I will not be doing that. I don't have any interest in watching it a second time personally. And also, without further ado, it did not pass the husband sleep test. My husband was definitely asleep after probably about the hour mark, I would say, because again, it just was not picking up enough for what you wanted it to do. And for a horror movie to put you to sleep, definitely not a good look for them. But I definitely want to know, again, what you guys think in the comments. Let me know if you are planning to watch this movie or what you think about it. If you have any feelings about the actors, or if you have any feelings about the movie itself, if you want to go see it, if you don't want to go see it, if this made you not want to see it. I want to know your feelings in the comments below. And if you have already subscribed to my channel, thank you so much for being a subscriber. If you have not subscribed yet and you definitely want to see my next video, then please do subscribe and hit that notification bell so you can see my next video. But thanks so much for watching, and have a great day, guys. Bye.